I'm Dan Johnson talking to Chip Irwin, who's going to fill me in on this airplane that has created quite a buzz of late. Chip, welcome. Tell me a little bit about the Merlin Lite.
The Merlin Lite is really a game-changing ultralight. It's nothing like we flew in the 80s, 90s. There's nothing like it at all. It has size, space for. It has a cockpit. It has a windshield. It has a door. It has 7 windows. It's a cantilevered wing, so it's easy to get in and out. There's nothing in the way. It's all aluminum. It can stay outside. It has huge flaps. It actually has flaps, but it has 5 position flaps with a 50-degree position. You can see it here, polar flaps.
Way down there they are.
Very effective flaps. It has a full conventional dashboard. It's got a EFIS with the multifunction, airspeed, G-meter, vertical speed, altimeter, and artificial horizon in the ultralight. It has a GPS in that. It has a second GPS if you have a tablet, because there's room for an iPad. And
Which
then
you
have radar. You have radar on this plane. You can see the thunderstorms, and you can see the moving map. And then you have an EMS, so you can have all the parameters of the engine. So, and it's a liquid-cooled 2-stroke.
Yeah, tell me a little bit. Start at the front
Okay.
and walk me back on the Polini engine here.
First off, we have a carbon lightweight ground-adjustable propeller. It can be 2 blades and save weight, but we actually have a light enough airplane that we can have 3 blades.
And obviously you've got a clutch on it too, or else something's loose.
It's got a clutch, so you can just start it up in your garage and not blow the doors off and raise all the dust. And
so when you fire it up,
smooth.
let me interrupt you to say, when you fire it up then, how much throttle advance do you do before the prop starts turning?
Oh, it takes more than 3,000 RPM, so
Okay.
it might just go over like this.
I see, okay.
But you can run it at night all day. And it's liquid cooled, and it has a dual spark, in other words, two
spark
independent
plugs,
ignitions. And it's designed for aircraft, and it's one of the most popular powered parachute engines that are in the world right now.
There's literally thousands of these
right.
people around for years. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has a EarthX lithium battery. We can count in our airplane empty weight things that people are taking off to try and get under the 278 pounds, including the battery, the door, the seats, even the iPad. So all this stuff is included, and we have a acrylic brake.
Fungible is the word, meaning
Fungible.
breakable. This will just bust out of the way. The camera
Right.
probably can't see that, but I've got some images, so we'll show that.
So the BRS is actually in here, and it's not just full of styrofoam or something. It's a full-on BRS. Then it's a full airframe, brings the whole airframe down, and you've got the 5-position flaps, and
They're mechanical, are they?
yeah, Armstrong flaps, and you've got relatively Tundra tires for this size airplane. They're pretty big flotation
I'm going to
tires.
span them here. I can span it with my hand, but just barely. I would say that's 5 or 6 inches wide. That tire
They're
is.
6-inch spun aluminum welded wheels, tubeless, and it has hydraulic brakes which are independent, so you can put one or the other on
Which
to
you can
turn on a dime
do with your fingers up there.
or we have a side console for the brakes as well,
Oh, okay.
and a side throttle, and steerable or castering nose wheel, or you could choose the tricycle version. And we have a little over 4 gallons, which is well under the limit on one wing tank. For those not flying in Part 103, you can put the second wing tank here and double the fuel.
So you'd have eight and a third
we have
gallons in.
But right now we have 3.5 hours endurance. So now you have 7 hours endurance.
Absolutely,
And
I
the
think it is.
baggage space, you could put a full-size airline roll-on in there, a computer case, a tool bag, and your lunch, or you can fill it with camping gear, or you can put your favorite pet in there. It's really a huge space. And then you've got a racing seat belt that's padded and very comfortable. Temper foam seats, all that's included in the weight. We just did the weight here at the show.
So the 278 number comes from 254, which is the number everybody knows, and that is the empty weight number without gas and without fluids and some other things. But if you add a parachute to it, FAA, so they just allow 24 pounds, which was the average weight of a system when they wrote the rule. The point is you get the 24 plus the 254, there's the 278 number we're talking about, and you were under.
Right.
Convincingly under with everything you see here.
Almost the same interior as the Merlin, and we have 6'6", 240-pound people fit in the Merlin.
Part 103's got a 63 mile an hour, 55 knot
Yes.
maximum speed at level flight at low altitude.
Right.
Obviously, you can go
There's
faster
no-
at altitude and other things, but
Yes.
that's the number. So how do you stay within that number with this?
That's super simple. There's no question this is a faster airplane than 63 miles an hour. It's absolutely going to go faster than that. However, if you take this ground adjustable prop and set it for fine pitch, which is climb, you're going to climb like this. And then you're going to run out of RPM at 63 miles an hour. That will be the maximum speed.
And you feel like there's no trouble to make sure that happens.
Oh, it's easy.
Okay.
That's simple. That is absolutely guaranteed. That is that's a simple matter of taking a protractor or digital level and adjusting the prop and going up and proving it.
Okay,
then
so
you
now
put
for those that say, look, that 103, that's a great, cool thing, and I love it, but you know what? I don't know, something else. They just want other things, and they want to go faster. This particular one has something you call the speed wing on it. So tell me about the difference in wings and how if someone says, look, I'll amateur build it, let's go down that path, and then what can the airplane do in the performance environment?
Well, there's so many different options because there's even a motor glider option. If we increase the wingspan and keep a high aspect ratio wing and have a low frontal area with a cowl on here and a clean airplane, you can turn the engine off and glide. So it turns into a motor glider. And motor glider has a rule that if you have a gliding license, which you can get with no medical and at age 14 or 15.
Yeah, it's very young. I don't remember the number. I think 14 is right, actually.
To fly a motor
Or at least you can solo at 14.
Right.
But,
To fly a motor glider, you need a logbook endorsement.
right.
So now you can. There's another
And no
avenue.
medical.
And no medical.
Right.
So there's another, and then you can enjoy soaring. So there's the whole new repurpose of the airplane. There's another repurpose of it, especially with this wing. If you look at those humongous flaps that are folder flaps that are 50 degrees and these tires and the stall speed of this airplane, you now have a Part 103 ultralight off-field STOL airplane for $35,000 that you can actually go places and actually land in the grass anywhere you feel like.
Yeah, I would. With these big fat tires on it, I wouldn't think twice about landing on the grass out here.
Or riverbeds or whatnot.
Right, and it's so light.
Yeah.
You know, so a heavier airplane coming down into those environments got to have really good tires and shock absorption and other things because you got a lot of weight of
Well,
airplane.
the other thing is if
Here you got, you're a butterfly landing on the side of the river.
Yeah, and if you're and there's also insurance risks that if you have a $200,000 bush plane, they might not even allow you to fly in the bush.
I suppose that's true.
I mean, when you rent a Cessna, are you going to land on a grass strip?
Yeah,
you can't even land on an airport with some insurance companies. So with this, you can self-insure. It's all modular. Everything fits.
You buy a liability policy.
We can put a new gear on. Speaking of other gear, we have tricycle version too, which is actually going to be just as good, if not better, of a bush plane because it'll rotate faster.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to lift
You
the
get
tail
a deeper,
up.
yeah, you get a deeper
rotate
hook.
right away.
Right.
And you can fly at a higher angle of attack. So a tricycle version with the balloon tires will probably be a better bush plane.
Now, you said in your promotional literature that the swap between tail dragger or tricycle or speed wing, which this is, or the longer wing, and I suppose the extensions, those are all, it's the same price for that.
Exactly. There's no price difference. And it's interchangeable on the wing.
And we normally don't go too deep into price, but I feel compelled to do it with this airplane because it's got such a good price point. The 35.5 you're talking about is with that parachute.
Yeah, of course.
And the rest of the airplane, as you see it, there's some options on the panel.
There's very few options.
But not many, so.
This could be sold as a kit. And the kit has a 0-hour build time.
0 hours.
0 hours, because the classic manufacturers...
You're talking about the fuselage when you say that.
They only
and the
quote
wings.
the airframe only in their build hours because it's so subjective on the panels and the engine installation. It could double the time of a build. So anybody out there selling experimental quotes build time. We will sell this as a kit, and it's 100% finished. 0 hours build kit. And then you can bolt on the engine in one day, and you can put the panel in the second day, and your airplane is done.
And that meets the standards.
Yes, as in Part 103, because there's no standard.
Yeah, okay. For Part 103,
Right. Kit. As experimental, for those who want to fly faster or over the weight or whatever they want to do experimental, the bigger brother of this, the Merlin, is already on the National Kit Evaluation Team evaluation kit. So we will petition the FAA to allow this as an experimental amateur build.
Because it's the same basic airplane.
With a, yeah, it's a variation of the Merlin.
Yeah, sure. The construction is essentially the same.
And there's one more thing that I want very badly. My 750 floats that I've made dozens of in the past weigh 30 pounds each, and they're perfect size for this.
And that happens to be the right number. You obviously know that.
Yes.
There's another thing. We mentioned 254 for the airframe and the engine and everything else, the empty weight. 24 more pounds allowed for the parachute, but also 60 pounds allowed for floats.
That's
if
right.
you use 2 floats, or there's an option for
and my
single
floats
float
weigh
and
30
sponson.
pounds each, but you're also taking all this gear off.
Oh, yeah.
So it's actually going to be lighter than the limit with floats.
So you could have floats and everything and, and still be a Part 103
take
aircraft.
the door off and fly it as a float plane.
Be delightful,
this
I
would be a
think.
blast.
Some people are going to ask, is there an engine option to the Polini?
Yes, there's dozens of them.
Okay.
Because there's
Give me one or two other examples.
Well, Hertz, Viterazzi, Simonini.
Okay.
And what I like, electric.
Ah, okay.
I have electric system proven and flying now on the Zigolo for 50 minutes. The Zigolo can carry 2 battery packs at 30 pounds each. This airplane has 1/4 the drag of a classic ultralight.
Right,
one quarter. And it can carry 50% more battery. So the math means I can fly for up to an hour and a half.
An hour plus, easy. So
with the long wing, we'll improve the lift over drag ratio. I'll be more efficient, and I'm going to make the cowl for this airplane that fit either the gas engine or the electric. It'll be interchangeable.
great. I'm glad you mentioned the cowl, because some people went, oh, well, it looks great. I'm all excited about it, but geez, it needs a cowl.
It needs a cowl.
Well, it's going to have a cowl. Tell me about the cowl.
4 pound, well, it's going to be a less than 4 pounds for a simple carbon cowl, and we have 5 or 6 pounds under the weight limit now, so it's no problem to put the cowl and the door on, and still be okay.
Beautiful,
Or
beautiful.
take the door off and put paint on it. So you're completely flexible with this.
I'm about out of questions I can ask you, but other people are going to come up with ones I didn't think of. How do we find you on the web, Chip? We'll put it up on the screen.
Aeromarine-lsa.com.
Okay.
As we flight test this and we gather data, we'll be posting it.
Yeah, I want to encourage you to go to that website, not only to get more details and data and talk about ordering and whatnot, but Chip writes a pretty entertaining blog. He's got a great sense of humor I've enjoyed for many years. That comes out in the blog, but you'll enjoy it, and you'll keep people up to date through that. Is that correct?
I'm up to 10 people now reading it, yeah.
Oh, 10 people? Yeah. That's at once, you mean. Yes, I'm sure. You can find more about this airplane, other airplanes that Chip has represented over the years and today, and all these other airplanes you see out here at the Midwest LSA Expo. All that's available on BuyDanJohnson.com. Thanks for joining Chip Irwin and myself here at Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Okay, here we go with the first start of the Polini 250 on the Merlin Lite.